Hey everybody, welcome to the Nine Leadership live stream. Today we're meeting with Dr. J, my good friend. We talked to him a few months ago. Now we're just checking back up with him, see how things are going, if things have changed with COVID. He's got some new tips for you guys, some old tips, and some refreshers to kind of make sure everyone's staying limber, not getting those blood clots from sitting at home. But let him introduce himself again for those of you who had not seen the original. Dr. J, thanks for joining us, man.
Sure, man. Thanks for having me, Drew. My name's Dr. J, Dr. Justin Klein, owner and founder of Got Your Back Total Health and the Got Your Back Foundation. We're located here in Spring Valley, Upper Northwest DC. We're a full-service, totally integrated medical and chiropractic physical therapy and nutrition center. And we do a whole lot of things to keep people out of pain, moving their best, feeling their best, getting well above and beyond their total health and wellness goals. So here to answer questions and give you guys a couple of health tips today.
Awesome. Cool, man. So first of all, I want to get something clear for everybody up front. You're doing something very unique with the chiropractic world right now. You got, like you mentioned, you got the Got Your Back Total Health, and you also got the Got Your Back Foundation. Can you talk a little bit about that first before we get into the fun stuff?
Sure. Well, Got Your Back Total Health is an integrated medical clinic. A couple of years ago, I basically changed my entity, the business entity, from a chiropractic business to a medically integrated business so that I could bring nurse practitioners on and we can provide stem cell therapy and regenerative medicine therapies because I know where my limitations are. And for example, torn ligaments, torn cartilages, things where we can get people from an 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 in pain down to a manageable 2, 3, 4 sometimes. But with torn tissues, we can't fix it naturally. We need things like stem cell therapy and regenerative medicine types of injections to get in there to do the job. So that's why we changed into an integrated medical facility. So that's really cool. And the side project that I had a number of years ago, I am very big into service and I love to give. Over the years, I've done a lot of really fun projects. I've been part of community building, community garden projects. I've done chiropractic missionary work. And the long story short was that one day I met a consultant who helps nonprofits get off the ground. So I decided to work with her and start the Got Your Back Foundation, a 501c3. And we offer chiropractic community services, physical therapy, nutritional programs. We'll help build some community gardens. We've got film apprentice programs, all kinds of different programs to give people jobs and experience doing all kinds of very cool total health and wellness things. And one of the newest programs that we put on for 2020 is that anything that is not covered by insurance. Now, we as a medical clinic, we do take insurance. We're credentialed with everything, and we are in network with most, but certain things are not covered by insurance. For example, regenerative medicine and stem cell therapy is not covered by insurance. It is valued very highly, and I think a lot of patients really would love to be able to take advantage of it. However, it can get kind of expensive. So what we do is 50% of any cash program is actually a charitable tax deductible donation. So we're actually able to pay it forward to the patient and help to serve other patients, underserved and underprivileged, with total health and wellness type care by funding that program. It's called our We Care program, the Wellness is Essential program. And you can learn about that on theGYBfoundation.org.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. And then that's something unique that I haven't heard a lot of clinics doing that, or any kind of, I mean, chiropractors by themselves, but even any integrated health, I've not heard of them doing that. So that's really, really cool as you bring it to your patients. But you're in a certain position right now. You're on the mat. Tell us what you're doing on the mat and what are we doing differently that we should be doing differently?
Well, I am actually just laying here in tummy time. So I highly recommend people use their computers out like this every day, at least a little bit of time like this, maybe even just a minute or two for every hour that they spend at their desk, because it's pretty bad for our spine and our nervous system to sit at a desk all day long, as most of you out there who are probably even laying on a couch that they've been sitting on all day or something like that in poor posture. So it's really good to keep your head up behind your spine. We teach a very unique program here. It's called the Move Mentality. The Move Mentality is a word that I trademarked a number of years ago to bring the original strength resets to our physically therapeutic movement system. And we teach this as a proactive and preventive as well as reactive type of a system to help people get out of pain. And so this position is just really good for the body. A lot of people that have pain and headaches and back problems and shoulder problems actually can't even lay in this position for like 1 minute at a time without hurting. So it's very parallel with pain management. So if you do get used to sitting in this position or laying in this position for a better, longer period of time, you will also see pain managed in a much more effective way over time. It's really good for the lumbar discs. It's really good for the cervical curve and for the shoulder posture. This is like the first time that baby Dr. J actually did like a push-up, right? So this is the first time that I developed shoulder strength and head strength. Everybody who out there has kids, in fact, every single one of us did a whole lot of this before we actually started rolling, crawling, walking. So it's a developmental movement, and it's a movement pattern that we actually just don't practice enough on a daily basis. So highly recommend you throw those iPhones on the floor, iPads, computers, whatever you're on right now, and try it out with me for a little while.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for those of you who can do it, or everyone, most people are at home right now. And for those who can do it, if you put your phones on the phone, I don't want to throw anything on the phone because if you hit the floor and it breaks, it's not going to be our responsibility. But if you want to get your back a little healthy, start doing this kind of thing for 30 seconds, even if you can't, you know what I mean, for as long as you can, and kind of ramp up from there. But that's awesome, dude. One thing I want to talk about is something we talked about last live stream we did, and I want to bring it up again because I think it's extremely important. That's the connection between the body and the mind and emotions and that kind of thing. And do you want to talk a little bit about that from the medical perspective?
Yeah, so I mean, I mentioned a minute ago the move mentality. As a chiropractor or a chiropractic physician, doctor of chiropractic, whatever you want to call what my profession is, I've always had a unique perspective and philosophy that's very parallel to the chiropractic philosophy, but also it's similar to what I think everybody out there believes in. We all understand that we have a nervous system inside of our brain and our spine and throughout the entire body. And if you're ever in pain, in physical pain, you've probably experienced a parallel and equal emotional pain, or the other way around. If you've ever been in emotional pain and had some stress going on in your life and work, in your family or whatever it is, your physical ailments are probably becoming equally worsened or equally as stressed. So the move mentality is my way of getting to the patients that I deal with, or just the people out there, a healthier way to move and to be. Because just starting with the three main principles of original strength: breathe with your diaphragm, with your tongue on the roof of your mouth. So breathing into your belly and not stress breathing in your shoulders. So starting with that, start with breathing, follow your eyes wherever your eyes can lead. Eyes leading the way is super, super important. So don't go for a walk and look at the ground the whole time. Go for a walk and look at the top of the trees, or look out in front of you in some healthy way so that you actually experience the beauty of the world. And cross midline, that's like walking, right? So when we walk, we use our right arm and our left leg at the same time, our left arm and our right leg at the same time. And those patterns are super important. So those three key principles, breathing, following your eyes, and crossing midline, are super, super important in improving the mentality of movement and the way that the mind and the body connect. We're actually trying to tie the body together through these patterns. And I believe very strongly in the fact that if you do this on a daily basis, even just those three things, by starting just with some breathing, shaking out all the tension and the stress, and then leading the way with your eyes, and then crossing midline like I just did, those basic three key principles will go a really long way just to help you melt stress away, help you melt pain away, all the above and then some.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I mean, and it definitely, like I said, it melts stress away. It helps with mental health a lot, especially with people dealing with a lot of stress right now, feeling like they're isolated. Whatever they can do to maintain or improve the mental health component of things,
Yeah.
it's huge. It's huge.
Talk a lot about you and I too. We've talked a lot about meditation and different ways in order to really tie the body together and get the emotional stress, under control. But I mean, just a little even about my story. I tried to learn how to meditate in a meditation class like 15 years ago, and I didn't get it. And it was kind of stressful for me to even just try to learn how to meditate in a still position. So for me, it really wasn't until trying to learn walking meditation that it made sense. And then it started making a lot more sense as I started practicing these developmental movement patterns. So it came all full circle for me. It's not about meditation so that you can melt stress away. It's about finding a painless, comfortable place to be so that you can feel comfortable moving forward with your thoughts, with your body's stress, with whatever stress is going on, right? Stress is physical, chemical, and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And those three main things, if you can get your head wrapped around it, so to speak, your breath wrapped around it, are going to be a big help in your life. And I just find it very helpful to find a comfortable position like this to be in. It's comfortable for me now. Like I teach people this all day, right? So would I expect you, Drew, who sits in that desk all day long, like talking to people on Zoom, to be comfortable like this right away? No, not at all. You need to be able to meet your body where it is, meet your mind where it is, and over time, be able to put the due diligence and the time into the effort into actually practicing these things so that over time you can see a consolidative effect.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, there's a whole area of coaching called somatic coaching, which I'm sure you're familiar with, where they coach through the body, right? They coach through people, and they've realized that there is that physical block to meditation, right? Where people they kind of fidget or whatever, they don't feel necessarily comfortable. They can't turn their brain off in their minds, right? But a lot of times there's a somatic component to that, where they're just not in touch with their bodies, or their bodies are not, they're not conditioned to be that way, or to be still, or to be still in a comfortable, natural way. We're sitting at the desk all day, and it changes. It just like crumps us all up like in the weird ball, So if you keep doing that, it's going to happen. But that's awesome, man. So tell us more about what you got in front of you. You got a kettlebell there. You got some blocks on your left. What are the best ways to use those for folks right now?
Well, I mean, I just brought them out for some props to show you guys some fun we have here in the office, but we use our system in here is MAT, M-A-T, not to be confused with the fact that I'm laying here on a mat, but movement, adjustment, and traction. And so what we start with in this office is a movement system, the movementality. It's all up there on the board, and we have a framework to work with what we call a physically therapeutic movement system. And so it starts with body weight movement, the original strength resets, then going into something we call the Super 7, and then some decompression stretches that are ideal to fix the structure and stabilize things of the spine, the whole body, tie it all together. We'll use things like kettlebells to do things like arm bars or squats. We'll teach people how to hinge properly without weight at first, and then we'll start to add some weight because it's all about functional movement or functionality in our movement practice. Then we get adjusted. And in this office, we practice the majority of a technique called chiropractic biophysics, which is a structural technique. So I want you to think like orthodontics of the spine, whereas your traditional chiropractic is helping with pain, but it's not geared towards fixing the structure of the curve. And in a few minutes, I'll show you some x-rays that actually show you my own spine, which is not an ideal curvature. It's an old x-ray, so hopefully it's changed over time. But the tools that I have here are actually, this is called a Dentaroll, and this is geared to actually restore the curve of the spine. So I'll try to lay down here for a second. And we just lay after our adjustment like this. And we'll give our patients a little bit of time to meditate, breathe, relax, and just allow that structure over time to change. So this one here is for the lumbar spine. So we can lay on this one here like that and fix the curve of the lower back. And over time, what you'll see is that the hips start to drop, the curve starts to be introduced, reintroduced, and it puts a special and significant stretch onto the ligaments. This is not to be confused with a yoga block or hanging your neck off of the edge of your bed or any type of device that's not been researched. These actually have a lot of evidence and random controlled trials to show clinical evidence that you actually will improve your curve over time if using these Dentarolls. So, and you can not get through like Amazon or anywhere like that. You have to get them at a clinically certified chiropractic biophysics clinic like Got Your Back. And it's ideal that you have a doctor like myself and our nurses keeping an eye on you to teach you how to use it properly so that you don't stress the system in the wrong way, because you can actually hurt yourself using this type of stuff, and you can hurt yourself laying your neck off the edge of the bed too. So yeah, that's what these couple of tools are here for. We've got lots of different types of tools in here. Give you a little mini view. We got a rack of kettlebells, all that stuff up on the wall over there. All right, all those bands.
Yep.
We've got a bike and a Versa climber. We've got a vibration plate back in there, and some other tools back here. Like back there, those are all traction devices. So a lumbar traction unit and a couple others. So it's a pretty cool space we've got here to help to improve your structure in order to improve your function. I'm a big believer in structure determining function. And I think that we would all agree that H2O is water, but H3O is not water. So the structure down to the molecule or down to the atom actually determines the function of that molecule or atom. So the same thing here, like this is why the structure of this Dentaroll is for the lumbar spine, whereas the structure of this Dentaroll is for the cervical spine. And there's different sizes for each one of these. The structure of this 35-pound kettlebell is going to function differently on the body as opposed to a 5 or a 10 or a 20-pound kettlebell. So I think these things just make sense, and I think most people want to have that understanding as to why they would go see a chiropractor or a physical therapist or do any of these things that that I'm trying to recommend. So we try to make as much sense as possible.
So basically just don't get random stuff and try to do it yourself with like random makeshift items.
Yeah, ideally. Yeah. I mean, you can makeshift, like you could use a shoe instead of a kettlebell, right? And do some really cool stuff, right? But, in order to kind of understand it, that's what we're here for. My background is in exercise physiology, kinesiology, personal training, athletic training, right? So all these types of things, over the years, I realized that I had my limitations. I didn't really know about the clinical aspect of what I was doing with certain people that might have pain or a condition, pre-existing type of an injury or something like that. So that's why I kept going to school. It's why I think being in practice every year, every day, I've actually learned something new. Had some really great mentors and people in my life to teach me some really interesting things, and gone down some really fun and interesting rabbit holes. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to educate. I believe very, very much that an educated patient or an educated person is going to feel better, they're going to heal better, and they're going to do better in life.
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you watching, if you have questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. We'll have Dr. J answer them. But I wanted to bring something up that we've talked about in the past, but you kind of alluded to, and that's the foam roller question, right? Tell us what your opinion is on foam rollers, because I love the opinion. I want folks to hear it.
So I mean, it's not a strong opinion, but I'll say this: it's the foam roller concept and stretching for that matter, right? They're not necessarily fixing anything, and it's painful sometimes. So my what I usually say to people when they bring up like, is a foam roller going to help me? I say, stop beating yourself up. Do things that feel good, that feel right. And, you know, not to say that it hurts so good isn't a good thing, right? So sometimes we do have trigger points, or we have adhesions and restrictions and things that it feels right to you know, foam roll. But it's not necessarily fixing anything. It's like this: if you've been doing something over and what's the definition of insanity, Drew?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
And expecting a different result. You know who came up with that?
Einstein.
Einstein. He was a pretty smart guy, right?
Yeah.
I think he was probably one of the smartest on the planet that we've ever seen, right? So if you've been foam rolling every single day or once a week or 3 times a week for however many years to fix your hip problem, and it's still dealing with the same problem, it's probably not working. It's probably not fixing anything. And I think we just need to face that fact. It's a, you know, it's a humbling thing to be told that, or to try to understand that. And I get it. Like I was a broken athlete. Like I tore ligaments in my ankle. That ended my wrestling career. I've banged up my shoulder. I had a nasty fall off of a bike. I had 5 concussions documented by the time I graduated high school. I mean, I've had all kinds of injuries. So I've been through it. I'm also just a very kinesthetic person. So I've also felt the fact that foam rolling didn't really do it for me. And when I started in personal training, it was in the really early days of foam rolling and using the stick. Remember the stick, right? So we used to be taught all this stuff. There's a time and a place for things like Graston technique or soft tissue instrument techniques that a lot of you out there might have heard about. I could show you a tool in the treatment room in a second that I use to help to break up adhesions and things like that for patients. But trust a doctor in order to fix those types of problems, because there's a time and a place to beat up those things. And you at home should be loving your body and taking care of yourself rather than beating yourself up every day. It's kind of like, you know, taking care of your kids or your animals, right? You don't just beat them up, right? Like, you have to educate, you have to teach it something, teach the kid, teach the dog, teach yourself a little something healthy every day, so that it's going to adapt to that change over time, because we're all, you know, beings of wanting to be appreciated. So I think of those types of things when I think of people who abuse things like foam rollers or all these marketing techniques that get these things out there. I think this was what we talked about before, actually, Drew, was that there's over 1,000 different foam roller companies.
Yeah.
And they're all just being marketed in a different way. And it's a capitalistic place we live in. So, I mean, that's all that's going to do is, you know, you're going to have 10 different foam rollers and you're only going to use one of them. You know, but you're going to have a closet full of these things over time. So,
Yep.
Save your time, save your money, and save your body. Don't beat yourself up.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, so you mentioned this before. You alluded to this. I want to call it out. The Superman vision. You want to show us what that looks like and what that video looked like of you?
I'll give you a little tour here. Let's take this iPad off of the thing. We'll tour of the office.
That's a huge space, by the way. And then say hi to Blair back there.
There's my dog, our therapy dog here. I'm going to flip the camera. And so this is the unit. This is our digital motion x-ray. We actually took a x-ray of a kid yesterday. So that's why it's way down there on the floor. A couple really cool benefits to this machine. One is that it is super, super, super low dose radiation. And that's really awesome. But the other thing is it actually shows motion. So check this out. And so this is my jacked up neck, moving in flexion and extension. All right, you can see my arthritis down there from all the bridging I used to do as a wrestler. And we can take pictures of anything in the body. So this is the neck. There's my foot, my ankle. We did this just before I did a stem cell injection in my ankle to help to restore the ligaments that I tore like 20 years ago.
Wow.
It's pretty cool, right? Like you can actually see the motion and the joint. Like look at that joint space and look at all these things that you're seeing move that you would never see on traditional film. So that's why I call it X-ray vision, because I mean, like Superman vision, because I'm actually watching people move on film and not just, not just looking at a still X-ray, right? So,
Yeah.
So we do all kinds of stuff with that. Here, I'll show you a couple of pictures here to give a little perspective. So this is just some traditional film, but in the chiropractic biophysics type of technique here, we're actually looking at the curve of the spine. So we'll take these digital motion x-rays and we'll take a still film and we'll be able to see and compare what an MRI might look like to the spine, and we'll be able to see like where the actual problems are. So the same thing here in the neck. We're looking at a curve that's going in the wrong direction. You can see the red line, right? Going in the wrong direction, right? The red line's here, but the normal or ideal curve is that green line.
Yep.
So we're looking at a patient that might have some disc issues. This is actually the same patient, right? So images of the same patient, right? So, you're looking at some disc conditions in there. And yeah, that's the digital motion x-ray machine. Give you a little tour of the treatment room right in here. So we've got some pictures and things that we show patients. Here's another view of like that ideal curve.
Mm-hmm.
And what most people really look like is kind of more like in here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's it. That's the spot.
Awesome, man. It's a great space, dude. I've been there myself. It's really awesome. Also, Blair's cool as hell. But it's a great space, dude. And I encourage anyone in the DC area or who needs any kind of help with their posture, their back issues, honestly any kind of pain you're dealing with. Stop by, see Dr. J, see what he has to say about it. It's a great, like I said, it's a great space even just to check out and see if it's a good fit for you. As we're running up on time here, any closing thoughts you have for people, Justin? Things that you want people to talk about, or things to think about as they're sitting doing their work at home all day, or they're working with their kids, or that kind of thing. I mean, the winter's coming up; people are gonna be inside a lot more. So, what advice you got for them?
Yeah, well, I mean, don't be afraid of the cold. That's first off. Put a coat on. I've got some really good Canadian friends, and they always say, "There's no bad weather. There's just bad choices." So, just get a really warm coat, because sun is also really good for you. Get on the floor. That's what I recommend. I mean, get on the ground, move, press that reset button. Your nervous system is designed to be reset throughout the day. If you've got little kids, you'll recognize what they've been doing for that whole first year of their life. Just move and breathe. Focus on your breathing. It's a really powerful tool that we all have as human beings, and we tend to forget how to do it right. So just breathe into your belly. Try to relax all the stress from your shoulders and your neck. If you have any questions, just give me a call. Try to, if you can, follow me on Instagram at Dr. Justin Klein and at GotYourBack_health and at GYB Foundation. They're all under my bios. So you can click just on one of those and find them all. You can follow us on Facebook as well. I'm here as a resource. Whether you want to just reach out with a question, you can email me at gotyourbackdoc@gmail.com. I'm happy to get to you there. DM me on social media. But we're also looking for donors and volunteers for the Got Your Back Foundation. So this year has been a really big step back as far as programming goes. But moving into next year, we'll be looking for lots of volunteers to help us get out there and run some programs. Or if you or anybody, is interested in doing video or production or editing or just watching and seeing, being a part of a total health and wellness type of based program. We put on movement-based programs. One of them in the past was called the Crawl on the Mall. So you can actually look that up. Was written up in the Washington Post in, I believe it was 2016. And that was a very, very cool program. We did that every year for, I think, 3 years. And moving forward, we'll be doing a lot more of them. So I just love teaching this stuff. It's a passion of mine. I'm driven to get the healthy movements and healthy life into people that are needing it. So if there's anything I can do, just let me know. Reach out.
Awesome, man. Sounds great, dude. We'll put all your information in the description below for folks who are watching this after the fact. And for anyone who has questions, comments on anything like that, please feel free to comment below. Reach out to Dr. J. He's an awesome resource. I've taken advantage of it a couple of times. He's helped a lot of folks in the area, and he's got a great space. He's got a great mentality, and he's a good dude overall. So reach out to him if you have questions. And thanks for joining us today. Everyone, please hit the like button, hit subscribe if you like what we're putting up. Leave a comment below and let us know what you want to see in the future videos. Future people we want to interview, small businesses, local businesses. Happy to highlight those and just talk about coaching topics if you have them. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Take care. Stay safe.
Thanks.